Hey y'all, peace and great day. I hope y'all have had an amazingly great day in Imago Day, which is in the image and likeness of God. Put your winners V up, your victory pose. Thank you for joining me here tonight on Playing ACES, which is a trauma responsive, somewhat training or I guess tool that I use on Tuesday nights. I go live on most Tuesday nights and help people overcoming ACEs or adverse childhood experiences, childhood trauma and other traumas. But really, a lot of it is just childhood trauma. It's something that happened between 0 and 18 years of age, but it's still affecting you even now. And you may be 50, you may be 42, you may be 48, you may be 67, you might be 90, okay? And I help people. My name is Victoria I. Phoenix. That's my pen name, my pseudonym. I've written books, I'm writing books, and do trainings. I've written trainings, put together trainings, and do trainings all over the world to help people become more trauma-informed and trauma-responsive, teaching primarily on adverse childhood experiences, preventing them and helping people overcome them. So I'm the founder of Trauma Training University, thank God. And I have many innovative courses and programs and different things that I do, tools that I use. Something I'm going to be re-releasing, have restructured something real cool and real powerful that a lot of people have been asking for when I go to trainings. And I do trainings all over, military bases, school system, social service organizations, faith-based, a lot of places I've been. But a lot of people always usually want to know, well, what do you do after this? Do you have any kind of help for this, and this? And so that's going to be coming up soon, an announcement. I'll probably do it next week. But every Tuesday night, or most Tuesday nights, unless God leads me different or I have something really pressing going on, God leads me in a different direction, I come on here and I do this session called Playing ACES, because it's a lot of people who have experienced ACEs or adverse childhood experiences, trauma between 0 and 18 years of age that has a lasting and usually negative impact on them. So a lot of people have been affected by ACEs, childhood trauma, and other social traumas. And so because God has blessed me to come through a lot of it, and also as a teacher by profession and a minister of teaching, to put together some stuff to help people, I love getting on here and sharing something. So tonight we're going to talk about something that a lot of people probably deal with, especially Black people, especially African Americans. Okay, and I coined a concept called forerunner friction. Forerunner friction is it's a trauma that happens when you're the first person in your family to do something, or the first person among your peers or among a group of people. Let me say that, because it could be your family, it could be your coworkers, it could be the kids you grew up with, it could be your college roommates or classmates, it could be coworkers, church members. When you're the first person to either achieve something great or escape something bad, and because of that, you get a lot of friction, you get a lot of adversity from people. Not the adversity of circumstances, but forerunner friction. If you're the forerunner, you go ahead, you do something that has never been done, and because people don't know how to take it, their mind can't fathom it. They may be jealous, they may be discouraged because you had the courage to do it and they didn't. They may be, and a lot of these personalities are common to African Americans because of our history or the history of African Americans in the United States, in basically the plight since slavery and that kind of thing. But it's other groups that suffer from it as well. But a lot of times I've found that many things that I'm talking about are heavily affecting African Americans, and so I've talked about forerunner friction. It's a term that I coined. It's a noun, and it's the adversity that you get when you're the first person among a group of people. Like I said, it could be your family, it could be your coworkers. You're the first person to break out and either achieve something great or escape something bad, and because of that, you get friction. People, I say this, and I put it in my book, Play Your Ace Before It Plays You. I say that the people who give you the most hell about succeeding are often the ones who need you to succeed the most. Okay, let me say it again. Oftentimes, the people who give you the most hell about succeeding are the ones who need you to succeed the most. Okay, they may be somebody in your family, they may be somebody from your neighborhood, they may be even church members, people who have never seen done what you're doing. They give you the most hell about doing it because their minds can't even fathom that somebody can do it. And guess what? Once you break the mold, once you pioneer that path, everybody more people can start doing it. Let me say that. And so they need you to succeed, but they fight against you because it's something. There are wounds in their soul. There's spiritual unrest. So their spirit is fighting against your spirit. But so I came up with the term forerunner friction. Okay, forerunner friction. You know, friction is when something's rubbing against you, usually in a negative way. It causes negative results. Sometimes it changes the nature of something. It may rub something raw. It may cause. But forerunner friction again is the adversity or the resistance that you get from people when you're the first person to do something great or to escape something bad. That means you might make it out of your neighborhood and nobody else did. You might were the first person to get married and not have baby daddies and all that kind of stuff. You may have been the first person to own a business, to walk away from a job and own a business. You may have been the first person to actually have some money in your family. You may have been the first person, whatever. But people give you a lot of hell, and they're the main ones that need you to succeed. And so, I'm going to talk about a specific type of forerunner friction tonight, which is the trauma or the friction. Well, I'm gonna tell you it's a type of forerunner friction, but this is the trauma. I want to help you overcome the trauma of family guilt. Okay, that's a big one, especially in Black families, African American families. I've seen this more because of the family structure or the lack of a proper family structure in African Americans. A lot of times, that's why we have certain things as crab in the bucket syndrome, the Willie Lynch syndrome. I talked to y'all earlier in the week about not wanting to be under authority. People having problems with spiritual leaders, professional leaders, people being over them because of lack of structure in the Black home, in the Black family. And a lot of people take that dysfunction right over into their jobs, to their churches and that kind of thing. And so it's a lot of, I'm not saying that, I'm not negating the fact that African Americans have had a hard plight since slavery, since Jim Crow and all that kind of stuff. But what I've said, I'm a minister as well. I'm a teacher of ministry, teacher by profession, but I'm a minister as well. So you're going to hear me say things a lot of times that refer to the Bible, refer to the power of God. And if you're offended by that, I wish you weren't, but you're losing out, because I'm going to tell you, like I tell a lot of people, and I say it often on here, the only way you're going to overcome trauma, okay, really, where you're not just medicating and calling it something else and overachieving, whatever it is, it could be a positive addiction, or what people see as a good addiction, or a bad addiction. You just medicating pain and putting on another masquerade when you really haven't truly dealt with trauma. The only way you're going to truly deal with trauma and be healed is through the power of God, through the power of you becoming a new being. And the only way you do that is by the person of Christ. Okay, the only person that walked as a God and a man in the earth and left his spirit so we could do the same thing, right? So family guilt is a big one, especially for African American people, especially for poor people. Okay, family guilt is a trauma that plagues a lot of people, right? And so I'm gonna start off with this. Well, first of all, I already defined ACE, adverse childhood experience. That's what the CDC, or the Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention, say they call ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. When you experience trauma anywhere from 0 to 18 years of age, it's common among a lot of people. 2/3 of people have experienced at least one ACE. It affects people over their entire lifetime, not just childhood. It happens in childhood, but it affects people all the way through their life. And then the third thing that they found is that it's usually a negative impact. It causes people to have bad physical health, cancers, blood pressure, strokes, and that kind of thing, as well as emotional health, relationships, finances, all types of things, because of a trauma that happened when they were young, but they have not dealt with it. And what I say is it's dealing with them. What we do not deal with will deal with us, okay? And when I say deal with us, it's a negative manner. It's showing up or presenting very negatively in the lives of people who have not dealt with this trauma, right? So that's why I love doing what I do. Another reason I love doing what I do is because as an ACE in social trauma escape strategist, you have to get out of it. You got to find a way. Escape means it's trying to hold you there. That you got to be crafty and strategic about leaving, right? Leaving is different from escaping, right? And so a lot of people's past wants to keep a hold on them. That's a trick of the enemy, right? And that's why trauma in childhood a lot of times leads to drug addiction, food addiction, sexual addiction in adulthood. And so I love what I do because of a lot of people are not familiar with, or they know about it, but they didn't know the science and the art behind the fact, or the truth behind the fact that something happened to you a long time ago, but it's still happening to you because it's still affecting your life negatively. What we don't deal with will deal with us. Okay, and it's very common. Hey, Kelvin. But another reason I love to do what I do as a minister of teaching in the area of my company, Trauma Training University, and ACE escape strategist and artist, and social trauma escape strategist, is because a lot of people, when they hear trauma, okay, it's a real big buzzword now for probably like the last maybe 10 years, right? So mental health has gotten some a spot on the plate at the table, or a chair at the table, and it's good because it's been affecting especially African American communities, especially poor Black communities, and other poor communities for a long time. So it's finally on the table. It's being recognized from the faith-based arena, which is from pulpits and all. It's been recognized from health and science. Mental health is important. Adverse childhood experiences are real. People are 48, 62 years old, still being plagued, and their life is still at very minimal success because of things that happened when they were 3 or 4 or 13, right? And so, but when a lot of times, so that's here now. We're conscious of it. The CDC has put a lot of money behind fighting ACEs, overcoming ACEs, other mental health and that kind of stuff. That's good, right? But a lot of times there's still some misconceptions. When you hear trauma, people think of, physical abuse. You got beat as a child, you got sexually abused or molested or raped or something like that. Many people didn't, but I spent a lot of time talking about how poverty is an adverse childhood experience or trauma, because trauma is defined as anything threatening or overwhelming, right? Any experience that's threatening or overwhelming, right? And then I told y'all before, I shared this a lot of times, I was at a presentation and the people used, I think, a very clear and concise that probably more people can relate to commonly definition of trauma. They say anything that disrupts or alters your ability to love, laugh, and learn for 2 weeks or more. 2 weeks or more is trauma, right? Because it could be, something, you could be something really bad happen and you deal with it in a bad way for maybe 10 minutes, but then it's not lasting in your life. The effects of it is not lasting in your life, so it's not trauma, right? So again, the definition some bodies of work that I use, like working with the CDC, they define trauma as anything threatening and overwhelming, right? And then, like I said, somebody gave a more candid definition, which I'll share with you all. I agree with that one as well. Trauma is any experience that affects your ability to learn, laugh, and love for a period of 2 weeks or more, right? And so back to what I was saying, why I love doing what I do, why I love bringing light to darkness so people can understand better. So another reason is because a lot of times people have a misunderstanding of trauma. They think it's super extreme, like being sexually abused, growing up in being homeless, having mental illness, or having somebody in your family with mental illness, or substance abuse in the household, that kind of thing. All those are considered ACEs in trauma, right? Also, being a child of divorce or separation, or being the child of an absent parent, like one parent household, that type of thing. But guess what? There are many others, and I thank God that I've been able to add to the body of work by my personal experience, what I've seen in my own life and people close to me, as well as by studying as I travel the world and have taught and learned in many different locations across the world. I read a lot. I'm under a lot of. I learn a lot. I love to learn, and so. Not just the extreme traumas, but having a family guilt, your family putting a heavy weight on you because of, like I said, my term, forerunner friction. For some reason or another, it could be a good reason, something good that you did, or something bad that you did, something good or bad that they did, that they put a heavy weight and hold this over you. So tonight we're talking about overcoming the trauma of family guilt, because a lot of people, and it's not just Black people, it's not just poor people, it's a lot of people who it's more heavily concentrated in African Americans and poor people, but it's everywhere, right? And so when I talk about family guilt, I want to start off with this. I gave you some definitions, and the name of my company, Trauma Training University, some of the stuff I do through trainings and books I've written and am writing. But just being on here every Tuesday night, and whenever God unctions me to do it during the week, I might do a little small live video or whatever, or put up a post about helping people become trauma responsive. That means you're trauma informed, you know about trauma, and then you're trauma sensitive, you're doing something about it. So all that's included in being trauma responsive. That's part of what I do, right? And so there's a movie, I think it was the late 90s or early 2000s, okay, that that I really used to like this movie. I still do like it. I just haven't seen it in a while, right? I don't own the DVD, and I don't. A lot of people don't have it. I saw it, I think, on some kind of streaming thing the other day, but I don't watch a lot of TV right now. I really have to search for whatever God leads me to watch, right? And it's always on time. Once I watch it, I'm like, oh, it was really meant for me to watch this time, right? But Jason's Lyric was a movie out like in the late 90s or the early 2000s. I can't remember. I think it was like the late 90s, right? So Jason's Lyric. I remember this guy I used to talk to after college said, you nasty. Jason's Lyric was a flick, right? There wasn't no real movie. But then, and I thought about it, I like it for many other reasons. A lot of it has to do with trauma, but there were a couple of very strong sex scenes in there. It might have just been one, I think. I don't know, but either way, he was like, "That's a nasty movie. That ain't even a real movie. That wasn't really," but it was though. And so the guy on there, it was Bokeem Woodbine and Alan Payne, right? And Jada Pinkett on there. So Alan Payne was the quiet mama's boy, very sweet. Had a steady 9-to-5 job, very humble, very peaceful, stayed out of trouble. And his brother was the direct opposite. His brother was into drugs and crime and violence, in and out of prison. And as the movie opened up, I think he was going to get his brother out of prison again, right, for the umpteenth time, as they say, right? And they both were with a single mother. They had their stepfather had been to Vietnam, and he came back crazy. That was Mad Dog, who was played by Forrest Whitaker, right? And so, of course, you got Jason, who was Alan Payne, the good son, the loved his mom, stayed at home with his mom, did everything for her, helped try to keep the brother out of trouble. And then Bokeem Woodbine was the thug, right? And so, but as you get through the movie, you realize, like I said, why I think it was a good movie, because I can see most things, a lot of things that people don't normally see when they watch movies or see whatever's going on around them day to day, right? So Bokeem Woodbine was, he was codependent on his brother and his mom, but really his brother, they were buddies. They grew up together, and then as they got older, they just kind of went in their different directions, because one was good, one was bad, but they really loved each other. They wanted to be there for each other, but their lives were going in different directions. And then, of course, Alan Payne fell in love with Jada Pinkett, and so things really changed for him, right? So Bokeem Woodbine didn't have a love interest. He was, just into crime, and he was an alcoholic. But they showed throughout the movie he was an alcoholic because of some trauma, because of how Mad Dog used to beat their mom, and how he came back from the war crazy and all types of stuff, right? And so there was trauma. There were ACEs at play there, right? And so Bokeem Woodbine was medicating his with crime and drugs and being violent and being all that kind of thing, right? And Jason was just kind of like a free spirit. I think he was kind of, he had a family guilt, as in, I'm gonna stay here and help my mom, stay here and be for my brother, instead of going. It seems like he had a little bit of ambition of wanting to do better. He definitely wasn't about the life of crime and struggling too much, but there was a family guilt there. He felt like he owed it to his mother and his brother to be there for them, because they had been through some things together, right? And so this really starts to show up, or really starts to present, when Jada Pinkett and Alan Payne fall in love. When the good son falls in love with Jada Pinkett, and she's like, we got to get out of here. Like, I want to go somewhere. She was a very free spirit, but she was positive, and she had, she had big dreams, and she was very kind of eccentric, and made him see things in a different light. And he fell in love with her, and he wanted to be with her and wanted to get away as well. But he was feeling these heartstrings tug at his mom. He wanted to be for his mom. He was always the savior for his brother. And first of all, he didn't want to leave his mom because he knew that the brother was no good. And then he wanted to leave his brother because he knew that the brother was traumatized, and he was medicating his pain. He was not playing his ACEs. He was being played by them, right? And so he was into, crime, drinking. He was an alcoholic, all this kind of stuff. So you start to see that Jason, I almost forgot the boy's name. That's what the movie's called. Jason, played by Alan Payne in the movie Jason's Lyric. He felt a guilt about wanting to leave and go and be and marry Jada Pinkett, which was Lyric, and see the world and do some things. She opened his mind to see things in a different way, and he was in love, and he needed it because he was under so much pressure because of where he was from. It wasn't a lot going on there, a lot of crime, poverty. The city just looked a mess, and everybody pretty much was kind of in this same defeatist mode. And his brother discouraged him even more because well, he wasn't discouraged, but he felt an obligation to stay there in that unproductive state, in that bad city, and be there for his mom and his brother, and especially, and guess what? And so it really, really, really came to the light when things started getting really heavy, where, you know, Joshua, which was the bad brother, got his life threatened. He really was getting back into crime, and the guys he was trying to run with, they were way tougher than him, and they were, you know, the mom had gotten him a job. Long story short, he made Jason feel guilty about wanting to leave with Lyric. As a matter of fact, he and the mom made Jason feel guilty, and he was torn between his mom and his brother and the love of his life, Lyric. He had never really known anybody like her before, and he was truly in love with her, right? And so, but when Joshua, the bad son, which was played by Bokeem Woodbine, when he found out that he had plans to leave, he started trying to sabotage it, right? Because of the aces that play within him, right? And Jason, almost, okay, he ended up getting the girl shot. She got shot because it was just a whole bunch of hood mess going on, right? Lyric got shot, but she made it, and they ended up at the end. It was a good love story. They ended up on a bus riding off into the sunset or whatever, going away from that city in I think it was Louisiana, because there's like wars and that kind of stuff where they were, right? Bokeem Woodbine, of course, because of his trauma, because he realized that Jason was in love and he was going to choose the girl over him, he ended up killing himself, right? He's like, I don't really have anything to live for. He knew his life was a mess. He did not know how to play his aces. The fact that they got abused when they were younger, the mom got abused, Mad Dog was the stepfather, he was crazy. Plus, they lived, plus I think it was location trauma as well, another term that I coined, because of the environment that they lived in. All they saw was mediocrity, or even below mediocrity, high poverty, people just satisfied with substandard jobs and substandard income, and just, you know, the mom struggled her whole life. She never remarried or anything. She let Mad Dog really harass her even after he died, right? And it, oh my God, I forgot about it. It wasn't just the trauma of Mad Dog beating the mom and that kind of thing, but they ended up, Jason and his brother ended up, it really was together, they ended up killing Mad Dog because he was like trying to rape the mom or something one time. And I think that was the hold. Matter of fact, because Lyric ended up asking Jason, what kind of hold does he have on you? So it was like, I think the bad brother, when they were young, ended up pulling a gun on Mad Dog, and Jason, the good son, which was Alan Payne, came in. And most of y'all like, well, I'm recapping the whole movie, but just in case, if you haven't seen the movie, it's a good movie, okay? Not just because of the sex scenes. Like, this guy told me, yeah, I was nasty. There's some powerful sex scenes in there, but the movie is good to talk about this kind of thing I'm talking about tonight. So Jason tried to snatch the gun away from his brother Joshua, the bad son, and the gun ended up going off. And so he felt like they really both killed him. But so it was all kind of trauma, all kind of aces at play. Alan Payne, which was Jason, was finding a healthy way to deal with his. He was being there for his mom, even though it's not totally healthy, because he still had a guilt to his family. He could be doing more things. He felt like he was paying his debt. Thank you, Lord. He felt like he was paying his debt for what had happened by being there for his mom and brother, even though the brother was, what they say, bent on doing the wrong thing. And it wasn't that he was bent. It's the whole trauma-informed concept of not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you. He was an alcoholic and stealing from the mother, and the mom got him a job, and he got fired, got the mom fired, and she was so upset. Like, I've been on this job for 20-something years or 15 years. My register never came up short. And then in one day, she said, my son took my 15 years for $12 or whatever, because but he had all kinds of things going on him. He didn't know how to play the ace. It was playing him, or those aces. And so, I could break that down a lot of ways, but we're talking about tonight overcoming the trauma of family guilt. How Jason, because of who he was, because he was a humble, hardworking young man, because he was open. Hey, Corey, good to see you. He could have been. They painted the picture to tell you what kind of guy Jason was on Jason's Lyric. He could have had so much going for himself, like a lot of people who have so much potential, have so many gifts and talents by God. But because I'm gonna talk about a couple, I categorized it using the alliteration of M's, of the letter M, how God gave it to me earlier today. But I've been working on this for a little bit. Because of something bad that that a person did. They may have a lot going for themselves, but they did something bad. Their family won't let them forget. Or they did something good. Their family won't let them forget. Or I'm gonna go through these M's in a minute, but because of that, that family guilt, okay, people can hold it over your head because they're not ready to make the moves that you're making. They're not ready to make the sacrifices. Like I said in my book, Play Your Ace Before It Plays You. When it comes to forerunner friction, or when you're the forerunner, you're the pioneer, you go and do something nobody has ever done, good or bad. You escape something bad, or you achieve something good. You're the first in your neighborhood, or first in your family, or even first in your church, first in your job. The people who give you the most hell about succeeding are often the ones who need you to succeed the most. That's one of my favorite quotes. It's a personal quote that I coined, and I say it a lot in my trainings, and people really, people take, I thank God, people take a lot of notes in my trainings. They're like, oh my God, this is just, life changing. Say that again, right? But that's one of them. The people who often give you the most hell about succeeding, who want to make it hard for you, who don't want to support you, are the ones who need you to succeed the most. That's kind of ironic, but it's true. And a lot of times it may be people with your same natural bloodline, right? And so, so just like Jason was in Jason's Lyric, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. If you haven't seen it in a while, go watch it. Even though, there was some bad stuff in there, but I could teach a lot from that movie. You can learn a lot from that movie, especially when you're talking about being trauma responsive. All right, I saw a lot in that movie, not just the little love story, and it was some very graphic sex scenes in there and that kind of thing. But especially what we're talking about tonight. So there are people everybody's blessed with gifts and talents. We're blessed with gifts that will make room for us and take us before great men, as the Bible says. But many people, because of their family, because of pressure. Okay, now I talk about forerunner friction. And forerunner friction is you can get friction or flack or people resistance from any group of people. But tonight we're talking about family, overcoming. Your bloodline family, the people you're born into that you have no choice being a part of that group, right? Or at first you don't, right? But I'm not going to really go into I'm gonna keep it professional when we're talking about ACES tonight. But it's still, like I said, the gospel of Jesus Christ and the ministry of the gospel comes out a lot, and I don't apologize for it. And you'll see that it's going to help you, because that's the only true way a person can overcome trauma. I know it for a fact, right? So a lot of people, okay, have great opportunities to go away, to do something great, to step out of the box, to break the mold, to pioneer, as my apostles say, to be pioneers, pace setters, and pathfinders. But they don't do it because pressure and guilt that's hanging over them from their family, okay? And so, like I said, and where does this guilt come from? All right. Well, let me back up. I'm skipping ahead because it's 4 M's that God talked to me about how to teach this, right? So I put a quote up earlier today. I love this quote. It's by Albert Einstein, one of the smartest men to ever live. We have a lot of things because of him, a lot of ideas, philosophies, and inventions because of Einstein, and directly or indirectly, because there's a lot of people that studied under him that invented stuff as well. But Albert Einstein, everybody say I know Einstein, right? Albert Einstein said this. He said, you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem, right? You cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem. Now, a lot of people use this when they're trying to offer you a mentorship or a course or something they want to train you on. But it's true. If your mind created the problem, you're going to need help from somebody else's mind. You're going to need somebody else who has actually solved the problem, has overcome whatever issue you're talking about, right? Or dealing with. So because of that, and I put this on the post as well. Because of that, that's where a lot of generational bondages and curses, and yes, it's part of it spiritual, but that's where a lot of generational failures and bondages and things come from, generation after generation after generation, because the same mind that caused the problem cannot solve the problem. And everybody wants to stay flocked around, stay in the same community. A lot of times it's even that or remote. Sometimes they want to stay in the same city, same state, but sometimes they want to stay even in the same little neighborhood. I taught high school for 13 years in a very poor neighborhood, very poor city, right? Because everybody has been taught that this is the way we do it. It's the tradition thing. This is the church we go to. This is how we vote. This is the party we vote with, and I talked about that a couple weeks ago. This is what we believe. Nobody's supposed to have too much of anything. The struggle is real. The struggle is common. You fight to defend poverty and failure, and never following the dreams that God has given you, or following God's plan for your life. You just do whatever you see other people do, and because it has not been done, you feel like it cannot be done. And when you try to do it, other people who have not done it, which is everybody surrounding you, discourage you and try to make you think you're crazy, and try to make you think and discourage you it's not possible, and you're wanting too much and you're doing too much. You should just settle like the rest of us and stop thinking you're better than other people and that kind of thing, right? And so Einstein's quote is very appropriate here, or apropos, as they say. The same mind that got you in the problem cannot solve the problem. So you have people in that same box, in that same prison, within a community, within a family, within a church, within a lot of people are in dead churches because that's their grandmama, great grandmama church, not getting anywhere. The leaders could be corrupt. The church is not growing any type of way, not member wise, not financially, not whatever. But because of a tradition, because of that bondage, it's a spirit of bondage that keeps people tied to things that don't work, accepting failure and substandard. And because of that, when people want to break out, when you get a sniff of something good, like Jason and Jason's Lyric, when he found out just by dating Lyric, he found out that she thought about outside of the wards, which is where they were living in Louisiana. She thought about going somewhere else. Even though she didn't have the money, she didn't have the opportunity, they just went on top of the bridge. And one of my favorite quotes, the guy who used to do my hair, and a lot of people who know me, who know a lot of times I quote movies to say certain things, or, when I was younger, watched a lot of TV. So one of my favorite quotes from, cause they were country, they were from Louisiana, but she took Lyric, which was Jada Pinkett, took Alan Payne, which was Jason, up. She told him, if you really want to see me, it was their first date, as a matter of fact, because he was pursuing her, but she was playing hard to get, right? So she's like, if you really want to see me, I want you to meet me. She used a little riddle, but he didn't have no idea because he didn't think like that. He was country and common, hardworking dude, not really, the smartest, whatever, really didn't think outside the box. But she gave him a riddle. She was like, meet me at meet me at the Old Trestle Bridge the next time the sun leaves footprints across the sky, right? And so he was like, huh? She said, basically that means sunset. So meet me. And she took him up on the bridge, and this is one of my favorite quotes because he was so country. He said, she said, what you think about the sunset or whatever? He said, I ain't never really watched the sunset before. And so, matter of fact, some of my cousins that I grew up with, I was a little bit older than them. A lot of people know that I'll say that quote. I ain't never really watched the sunset before. And so she was opening his eyes to different things. And guess what? When he started to fall in love, y'all know love will make you do some things, right? He started to, he loved his brother. He loved his mother. They were the only thing he had. He would do anything for him. That it proved, if you could read between the lines, he was only in that little small town. Matter of fact, because he had, thank you, Lord. He had received, you saw where his boss at the little electronics store where he worked had a position for him to be like a manager or something in another city, another state. But he was like, I can't leave my family, basically. So you could see that he had other opportunities, but he never explored them. One, because he felt like he was tied to his mother and his brother, but also nobody had ever opened his eyes into stuff outside of the wards or outside of Louisiana, or that city, except when he started dating Lyric. So Lyric started opening up, and guess what? Joshua, the bad brother, Bokeem Woodbine, got a whiff of it and started trying to sabotage it. Start trying to make him feel guilty. Well, what I'm gonna do? And you tied to me, trying to make it, because he brought his mind back to when the night that Mad Dog got shot, when they both, basically the young bad son was trying to shoot him, and Jason tried to take the gun, but he turned around, he was startled, and he ended up shooting Mad Dog, the Vietnam vet who was crazy, who used to abuse their mother, right? And so Joshua, the bad son, got a whiff of it and wanted to hold him back. And that happens too often, especially in poor Black, poor African-American communities, nobody, because you don't want to be alone, because you know you're suffering, everybody else is suffering, but the person that you really, that might be your favorite person, that may be a person that really completes the circle, but you see them trying to make it, trying to get out, and you're like, no, I can't, I need them here with me. I need them to help me feel secure in this this pile of crap that you've been living in for generation after generation. Some people stay even in the same house, same neighborhood, that passed down, and it's totally substandard, but it's because of a family guilt. Some people feel like because they're smart, because they have such and such, they'll make all the money, do all the kind of stuff, but never leave, because they feel like, well, I'm gonna leave everybody else behind. So they stay right in there, never experience life, never live in even standard housing, never even go out and do things for themselves, because they feel like they have to carry the family. That is a spirit of bondage. That is the devil. Like I said, I'm getting into ministry of the gospel here now, but we're still talking about playing ACEs. A lot of people have trauma because of family guilt. They have, or it could be a trauma, and because of family guilt, they can't let it go. But the family guilt can be a trauma itself. Okay, and so again, I used a powerful, very powerful man, Einstein. Albert Einstein, you said you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem. And guess what? Everybody in that family, everybody in that, a lot of families have communities. They live in a certain little city, little town, and everybody, they have their own little community. Certain people stay here. The whole community knows this, and this. Same dysfunction, same bondage, and everybody got the same mindset, the same limited mindset. Go to the same church where the pastor could be corrupt, or he might be good, but just not walking in revelation. So everybody, do we not see something wrong when everybody, generation after generation after generation, still struggling with the same stuff? It's sad, and I thank God for being a part of a prayer community and a prayer family and a family, apostolic family, and people who think like me and who have the mind of God to say it's something wrong. We got to pray. It's spiritual. You can't do it just by natural, like, hey, we're going to give this to the poor and that kind of stuff. No, you have to teach the poor, okay? You have to empower them. You have to inspire them, right? You have to expose this stuff, okay? I think I talked about this last Tuesday, because I was talking about how out my church, us building a multi-million-dollar facility without using the bank, by just attracting the money as God told us to, how that is the way that you break the bondage of poverty. It's spiritual. You got to give it. You can't. And so I talked about that, but what was I saying? I'm not saying. So I would say I'm glad to be a part of a group of people, be a part of a family. This is my family. People that don't have the same bloodline as me naturally, but spiritually they do, because we have the blood of Jesus connecting us and covering us, right? But that's the only way you're going to escape this, when you get around people who think unlike the people that you are in this cult with. I'm calling people's natural families now a cult, because it's a bondage that has people inhibited. Anytime people try to rise up, and y'all have heard of it as the crab in the bucket theory, right? Whenever one of them tries to get out, the other ones pull it down. But it's a bondage. It's a spirit that fights the person that's going to get out and help y'all get out, right? And so you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem. And guess what? Everybody in that family community has the same mind. The mind that came from grandmama and granddaddy, great-grandma and granddaddy. It's been passed down generation after generation after generation after generation. And guess what? In this type of thing, until now, because we have people exposing this now. What I was saying, thank you, husband. I was telling you, I talked about my book in my series called Playing the Ace of Diamonds, okay? Wisdom for exposing and escaping systems of generational poverty. So I mentioned that a lot Tuesday when I was talking about how us building this multi-purpose center debt-free without a bank was is the way we're going to help a lot of people escape poverty. A lot of people have escaped poverty because of that, right? And so you have to the subtitle of that book in that series is with Playing the Ace of Diamonds is the title. The subtitle says Wisdom for Exposing and Escaping Systems of Generational Poverty. You have to uncover this stuff as systems, and this is what I was getting ready to say. So, up until now, we have people who have the revelation that this is not of God, and we got to help people to understand it. When it comes to this area of perpetuating certain substandard living, some of it's poverty, some of it's molestation within the family, some of it's people not living the God's dream for them, okay? Not living what God has created for you because you got to do what they expect you to do. They discourage you when you don't, even though it's a failure operation. Is set up to make you fail and to stay the same, even though you feel like you might be making it just because y'all can, throw a party here and there and this kind of thing, right? So, but when it comes to this, the devil really does, in this area, he doesn't really even have to work that hard because it's perpetuated through the family. It's there. Remember I said, Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it, right? And usually in the family, the people who are stuck in this type of thing have the same mind that has come down from great-great-granddaddy to granddaddy to the great-granddaddy. And so all you got to do is just be born into the family. I got you. All you got to do is be born into the family. And because you're going to be raised around this language, you're going to be raised around this type of behavior, you're going to be raised around this type of surroundings that you can see physically, the kind of house y'all live in, where you go, where you don't go, the car you drive, the way you dress, the way you keep your hair or don't keep your hair up, the way you, and I don't really need to be talking about hair tonight, but, got a cap on. Got my Monaco hat, South of France, baby, 2017, but I was 2017, I think. But nevertheless, it was 2017. I went to Monaco, South of France, Nice, South of France. That was great. But in this particular area, the devil doesn't really have to work as hard. The enemy, which is the enemy of life, poverty, anything that's trying to keep people in pain, medicating pain from traumas, being further traumatized, high crime, high drug abuse, all types of foolishness, right? That's associated with these bondages. The devil really doesn't have to work super hard. All he has to do is make sure that children continue to be born in that family because it's naturally, it's organically around them that failure is okay, that living this way is okay, that not having enough is okay, that you can be born broken, poor, and struggling, and 60, 70, 80, 90 years later die the same way, and it's okay. Oh my God, thank you, Lord. God just you. Because of what Einstein said, that's why the devil doesn't have to use a lot of energy here. All he has to do is that make sure that people keep having babies. And guess what? Thank you, God. This just came to me. Usually in these type of communities, these are the folks that have the most babies. Okay, no father, no support other than the government, or hustling and doing all kind of crazy stuff. Nothing, no kind of provision for the child to have a quality education, because a lot of education systems are not set up that way and are getting worse. No kind of way. There's no way to try to get out because they don't even see a need to get out. So all the devil has to do, all the enemy has to do to perpetuate this is to make sure that children are being born, okay? Because they're going to be born and live in an environment that teaches them. And guess what? And then he's going to put a guilt over, he doesn't have to. The guilt comes naturally because there's so many people, everybody, the majority of the people, not just this generation, but for years, hundreds of years back, have had this same reality. And guess what? When you try to say it's wrong and you want better, you think you're better than us, this is the way we've always lived. From the way the food that you eat, even it's killing people. You tell people, all the devil has to do is make sure that kids are keep being born. And many times he sets up a system to incentivize having babies. That's a part of the welfare system, right? Public assistance. He want to make sure that as many kids as possible are born into this, because there's many more kids that he can set up, my God, to be drug pushers, to be drug users, oh my God, this is powerful. This is coming to me right now. These are usually the populations of people that are stuck in this family cycle, family guilt, family bondage, that want to have a baby every year, right? God is life. I love life, but a lot of times that ability to procreate, the devil's using it, because you not only are you having children, but you're having them into a system that's already has destroyed you, that's already bound you. And so This is how God showed it to me. I'm gonna give you these 4 M's. The reason why people hang a family guilt over you and make people who have all types of gifts and talents have a blessing from God, but they can't break free because of this guilt that their family, the people that they are born into, and they don't know how to escape, which is why I love what I do. I'm showing you how to escape. I am a social ACE, adverse childhood experience, ACE in social trauma escape artist. Escape means that you don't just leave. Escape means you got to strategically and fight your way to get out. Escape means something's trying to hold you back. And guess what? This has happened too long, especially in Black/African American communities. The crab in the bucket thing is heavier in the family than it is in your community outside your house, right? I'm telling you, I've seen it, you've seen it, generation after generation after generation after generation, people with the same broken mindset, the same acceptance of substandard living. Sometimes they stay in the same house generation after generation, same neighborhood generation after generation, same city generation after generation, even though nothing's changing, nothing's breaking. What are you doing? And people, my God. So this is what God said. All right, He said this is how it was broken down to me to teach this. Right. So these are the 4 M's of why people hold your family, the people you're born into, your natural bloodline, which is why you need to get a new bloodline. Okay, you need to get. Yes, you can get a new bloodline. It's called the blood of Jesus. Ask God to connect you to your kingdom family. Right. The first M, the reason why people hold family guilt over you, family guilt, your family makes you feel guilty. When you try to think outside, listen, I heard somebody say this. I was at a training one time. He said, the instructions on how to get outside the box are outside the box. Oh my God. That goes back to that. So you're going to need somebody to bring it to you, or you're going to have to tap into some people that are outside the box. But your family who lives a limited, defeated life, generation after generation after generation, and thinks it's okay, and not just thinks it's okay, celebrates it, and attacks people who try to get above it, okay, they're not going to help you get outside the box because they're comfortable in the box. They put a hot tub in the box. They've put a grill so y'all can cook some meat and go buy some beer and liquor on the weekend inside the box, okay? They've medicated the box with drugs and alcohol and fancy clothes and shoes and all this kind of stuff so they can have a good time inside the box, right? You're going to have to connect with some people outside the box. You're going to have to ask God to connect you with some people. First of all, connect with God the right way. He'll do it, and then He'll connect you to some people, right? And so the reason why are some ways, okay, that people, family, your bloodline tries to hang this family guilt over you and keeps people locked down. It has people not only stuck, they're traumatized. You have people who see a way out, who see either they saw somebody at school, they saw something on TV, they met somebody in the neighborhood, the church, and they're like, hey, it's a way to live better than this, that my family has lived for generation after generation after generation. And guess what? What are you doing? Go get in the bed. What are you doing? And so, put on some real pajamas and get in the bed. So, you have to tap into people outside the box to get outside the box. Man, that was so powerful when that man said that. I was at a training. Probably I spent a couple $1,000s to be at the training. It was a powerful training. But the guy on the stage, the speaker, said that the instructions on how to get outside the box are outside the box. Okay? That's why many people don't. But guess what that translates into? You got to tap into some people outside the box. Whether you do it through virtually, through books and online trainings, or you find somebody at your church, somebody in your neighborhood. It's possible. It happened for me. Okay? But so I was saying that a lot of times people who want to get outside the box, they want to get outside of that family who has generation after generation after generation accepted everything that God is against for their life. Poverty, defeat, living by somebody else's dream. I heard this guy say this once. He said, if you don't build your dream, somebody else will hire you to build theirs. And that's the workforce all day long. That's the system that we live in, of people using you, paying you. Like, my God, I'm gonna just say this. Yesterday we had these guys come. We had this company, Stanley Steamer, come to to clean out our air ducts so that, help against allergies, seasons coming or whatever, help the quality of the air. It helps the airflow and that kind of thing better. So for them to clean out the air ducts, we have 2 units. one upstairs, one downstairs. So for them to clean out the air ducts in the whole house, it was like $700, right? Really about $750, but we got a discount. So the guy was here, went from let's say 8:30 to about 2:30, about 5 hours, right? It took him it take like 30, 45 minutes to get the equipment set up. But either way, he was here, let's say 5 hours. So we paid Stanley Steamer $700. There's no way they pay him $700. And I know you have to pay for their equipment, that kind of stuff. Let's say even if they just paid him $300, okay, $300 for him to be here for that 5 hours, because I'm sure he had another job that day or even several more, and that's so many days a week. So if they were paying him $300 every 5 hours or whatever, or is no way that they're paying it. So the system we're set up in, okay, it's a system. Matter of fact, I talked about it last Tuesday night when I was talking about breaking the spirit of poverty. It's not. It was a quote that God gave me based on when I was watching my apostle. Okay, the apostle of finances, Leroy Thompson. He said, so God spoke to me and said, the system that we live in is not designed for you to buy a house, go to college, buy a car. It's designed for you to get a student loan, get a car note, and get a mortgage. So the only way you're going to get above that is God's way, by giving, right? But I'm not really going to get into that. But what I'm saying is this. If the instructions on how to get out of the box is outside of the box, then guess what? You're going to have to be resourceful and connect with some people outside the box. Because people who are in families, and sometimes it's neighborhoods. The family lives in one neighborhood, one house, 2 or 3 houses in the neighborhood, whatever. Or they could be scattered all over, but still with that same mentality. There's no distance in the spirit. They could be all over the world, still have that same mentality, right? So when a person comes along in the family, in these type of families, these people are usually rare. Okay, thank God I'm one of them. God has blessed me, helped me. Okay. When a person comes along in one of these types of families, and they're different, God has called them to be different. God has called them to be raised up so they can help raise other people up. But it's hard for them to get raised up because there's so many people pulling them down. Like, no, that weight is so heavy, that family guilt, which is the trauma I'm talking about tonight. So they become traumatized, one, because they realize that they are conscious enough to look around and say, man, this is not where it's at. I want better. Something in me wants better. Even though I've never really seen, they might have caught a glimpse of somebody at school. They might have gone on a field trip. They might pass by the neighborhood on the way to and from school, whatever. They see a person at church that got a little something, whatever it is. So something has been agitated in this person, this pioneer that comes along, this Moses, this Joshua, this Joseph that comes along, this Daniel, and says, and I'm getting back into the Bible again, but I'm not, it's fine. It's something on the inside. It's like, I know that this was our grandparents had this, our great grandparents, our aunts and uncles, but this, I want more, and I know there's more. Something starts to drive on the inside of them, right? So they become it's possible they can become traumatized because they see better, and they're not yet able to get better. But then you can be further traumatized if you're that one person that comes along every so often in the family and says, we got to do better. I want out of this family community, this neighborhood that we've been stuck in for decades. I want out of this mindset. We're not supposed to live like this. God wants better for us. I'm not going to accept it. So that person can be traumatized by actually wanting that and not being able to touch it yet. Even though it'll take a process. I'm telling you by experience. But also they can become traumatized because of the weight of people pulling on them, saying, no, this is who you think you are. We've lived this way for 100 years. It's okay. God, as long as you got this, it's okay. You're blessed, right? So it could be a double whammy, which is why I love to do what I do, to expose something like this on a night like this. So one reason, the first M, as to why family guilt can be hung over a person's head and cause them not to achieve, not to escape, when really God is counting on them. Everybody in the family is counting on them, and the further generations. And I'm saying the generations that are to come, the young kids and the ones to be born, because many times older people is that they're set in their ways, as they say, that you can give them all the proof in the pudding as to why this doesn't work, and how you can show them results of how what you're doing is working, and how studies show, and how people, and they're set in their ways. The devil has had too much time with them. I pray that that's not your family, but for many people it's real. I remember a guy telling me, a guy who does a lot of training and teaching, but he does it with young people, and he said, he's like, I'm on your live videos sometimes, because I've been doing this for years. I used to do it on Thursday night, call it Thursday Night Live, but I've been doing this probably, it might be about 10, well, between 7 and 10 years now. I don't know. But so I got lots and lots of videos, hundreds, thousands. I actually even lost somebody. They shut down a Facebook account. But nevertheless, God is great. This young guy told me, he said, I like what you're doing. You got some powerful stuff. He said, but have you ever thought about just teaching and reaching out to the young people, like teenagers and young adults? He said, that's who I deal with. And I was like, no, not really. He said, the reason I'm saying that is because most older people, they'll be on there, they'll like it sometimes, they'll say something, but they're not going to change at all. And I start to find out firsthand what he was talking about. I thank God and I pray to God for a grace that I reach more people, because there are some older people that receive it. But like he said, a lot of people, older people, especially older black people, have been traumatized by life. You can show them all day. You can give them all the results, all the proof in the pudding, but they're just too stuck in their ways. They're just they don't have the courage to let it go. They don't have, they're too crippled by fear. And so hopefully I pray God that those numbers decrease of people who are like that, who are older. But it's true, it happens, right? So the first M as to why family there can be a family guilt that keeps you from excelling, exceeding, that keeps you from escaping, getting out of that box, so you can help other people get out of the box, thinking outside of the box, so that you can get out of the box, or connecting with people outside of the box who can show you how to get out of the box. Is because the first M that family guilt hangs over a person's head is because you made it. Okay, you made it. You actually did something that nobody else has done or has been doing. It could be in your health, it could be in your finances, it could be in business, it can be in career, it can be in family. Because of the brokenness, a lot of African American families, a lot of poor black people are so used to a dysfunctional family, so used to baby daddies and mamas rather than mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, so used to all kinds of foolishness, right? That when you actually see something, oh man, I talked about this before. When you actually get around people who have a wholesome family, God fearing, God designed family, how God designed it to be. Oh, you think you this? Oh, so you don't want your kids? They're so used to dysfunction. They're so used to bondage and substandard that when something is actually normal, the way God wants it, it's an insult to them. It's abnormal to them. It's you're assaulting them. You think you're this and that. I'm telling you, that hurts me so bad, because it's sickening. People, these communities of people will have you feeling guilty about having the life that God wants you to have, having a wholesome family, okay, with boundaries and structures and rules for your kids and your household, taking care of your body so that you don't have to be sick, honoring God so that you don't have to be sick, you don't have to be broke. People are so used to losing, okay, and when people actually celebrate winning and say, I don't accept losing, it's a better way. You don't have to lose, right? I'm not saying you don't have disappointments, but I've talked about this before. It's not a loss, right? You don't have to lose. You can find a way to win, you can find a way to lose. There's no in between. That's one of my favorite quotes too. You're either finding a way to win or you're finding a way to lose. People have found a way to lose and been committed to losing for so long that when you have a winning mentality, you have the heart of a champion, they attack you so hard because it's an insult to them. It's an assault on them. And that's the devil, okay? And so when you made it, that first, and when you make it, when you get out, when you get out of poverty, when you get out of the neighborhood that the whole family has grown up in, the city, the bondage, the struggles, okay? That limiting mindset, that limiting behavior, they hang it over your head, guilty. Oh, you think you this, and this. But guess what? The same mind that created the problem cannot solve the problem. So if they want some help, or the future generations, guess what? Somebody has to make it. Somebody has to get it. So you have to realize that when people try to hang guilt, family guilt over your head because you made it, guess what? Somebody has to do it. If we don't want to keep perpetuating the same cycle, somebody, even if it's just one, has to be the pace setter, the pathfinder, the pioneer, the pace setter, the pathfinder. Okay. So when you make it, don't be afraid of making it. A lot of people are afraid of making because they know they're going to lose their favorite cousin. People are going to shun them, okay? People, it happens. It happens. Listen, if y'all watch the movie that, I think it was a Lifetime movie about Tony Braxton, when L.A. Reid and whoever else wanted to sign her, but she wanted to bring her sisters along because they auditioned for them as a family group. But they're like, no, we don't want the rest of them. And guess what? For a minute, first of all, just the structure of how she was brought up, she already knew it within herself. The guilt already kicked in. But then guess what? Her family put a voice to it. Her mother and father. Really, it was, I think, her mom. And I think her daddy was the one. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the daddy that ended up saying, no, you go take it. First of all, you have to realize that, okay, so if you have a shot, a once in a lifetime, 1 in a million shot, and you, this goes back to poverty mindset and actually using wisdom, and somebody offers it to you rather than you and your whole family. So you mean tell me you're going to turn down the opportunity to go and make it and come back and get them because they won't take y'all? That's just dumb. But that mindset, they had grown up with that mindset that, oh, you know, you're dividing the family and that kind of stuff. No. As a matter of fact, she later brought them on. They have I don't know if it still exists now, had their own TV show. They were her background singers. Some of them had their own solo careers, but it was because she first made it. Okay. But people, that family guilt, because they don't know. Thank you, Lord, for helping me break this down, because they don't understand. One, they don't have wisdom. Okay. They don't have wisdom, insight, not knowledge, wisdom, the ways of God. The ability to make sound decisions, right? That's wisdom. So because you have this mindset, this crabs in the bucket thing, this mindset that we all got to stay together. Yeah, we're all gonna stay together, but I'm just gonna leave temporarily to go get something for us and come and empower us to leave as a family. We can't go as a family, but we can leave as a family. Oh man, that was good. That just came to me, right? But because of that, that hits the nail right on the head. What I was saying, you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that got you into the problem. Nobody in the family. Now the daddy, like I said, he was a pastor. I think he was the one who wisdom kicked in and said, "Go ahead, go make your way." He didn't say it because, okay, you're gonna come back and get us. But guess what? That's what it amounts to. She came back and got him. Okay. And like I said, today, a lot of them have careers or had careers and money from the careers and things because, and some of them still may seem back up for her. I don't know if she's touring or anything, but do you know how many other people made a dumb decision? Oh, if he can't take all of us, we're not going. That's a dumb decision. So you're missing out on one. You know how many people get a chance to cut a record deal with somebody? That's a major label. LaFace. I don't know what it is now if it has changed, but I know. Let me take a hydration break. You will make dumb decisions like that based on the mindset that your family has, which is limited. Not to say that they're dumb, but they can only, I heard somebody say this, very wise. People can only do, people do the best they can with what they have at a given time, okay? People do the best they can with what they have at a given time. So your family may have great intentions. They may love you or think they love you. They may want to support you with bad information, okay? Bad, free information is sometimes is usually the most expensive. It's the worst. People telling you stuff who have no experience. They're telling you stuff about finances and they broke. Then they broke their whole life. Born broke, gonna die broke, right? But they're telling you money. They're telling you things about business and finance. No way. But because you can grow up in a family, listen to grandma, listen to big mama. You don't talk bad to your elders. No, don't disrespect them. Don't dishonor them. But you have to detach from them when they have, when they're, the resources they're giving you are not adequate for where you're trying to go and what you need. Right? That was powerful right there. Okay. Don't disrespect them. Don't dishonor them, your elders and the people around you, but detach from them. Okay. When they don't have the resources that are adequate for what you need and where you're trying to go, which is to get outside of the box, to get outside of the trap. So when people hang this family guilt over your head because you made it, because you have a different standard for your life now, for your children, for your family, for your what you wear, where you live, that kind of thing. Notice this, that for they might not want to make it out, but somebody will see you and want to come out in that family. And it may be another generation after a baby grows up or whatever. But in order for somebody to pull somebody else out, they got to be out. Okay? You messed up. Another family guilt, okay, that they try to hold over your head. You messed up, okay? You messed up. They brought you out. They carried you. They helped you. And guess what? Now, because you want differently. That's why I say don't dishonor, don't disrespect. Give honor where honor is due. Thank them, reward them, but don't let them make you feel guilty that you owe them your life, because you don't, and you'll be ever trapped. That's a bondage of the enemy. The enemy uses emotion so much. That's why you got to be a master of your soul. You got to let your spirit be in control, because your soul will destroy you because of emotions, right? I've seen it happen close up. I've seen it happen nearby. I've seen it happen afar off. Okay, close up, nearby, around me, and afar off. The devil uses emotions to destroy people because of a guilt that their family will put on them because they messed up, because they helped you at one time, they carried you, they did, or it might have been you were a child, you didn't even have control of it. Your parents messed up and they helped you out. They did this. No, and guess what? So they hang this guilt over your head. When you have the opportunity to go somewhere, to do something that has never been done, not just in your family, but ever in history, God is calling you to do it, but they make you feel guilty because, hey, oh, you messed up before, this, you failed at this, and it's not even that they helped you out. It could be that they helped you out when you messed up, but it could just be that they want to remind you of your failures so that you can't focus on actually winning. Okay. So the second M why family can try to make you feel guilty, okay, is that you messed up, and that either they helped you or they just want to remind you of your failure because they don't have the courage to do what you're doing. They haven't paid the price, the sacrifice to get the anointing or the gifting to do what you're doing. And so they want to sabotage it by telling you you messed up. On the movie Jason's Lyric, it was like that. The guy he was like, me and you tied together. You owe me, because it's several other movies like that. You can't escape from this because we got a secret. We did something wrong together, or I carried you when you needed me most. Absolutely right. Honor them. Give them what's due to them. If they did it out of their heart, you don't owe them anything. But nevertheless, because you know how people are, because they think in that old mindset, honor them, okay, to the best. Over honor them. Over honor them, okay. But don't allow people to make you keep you in a cage, in bondage, because you messed up. That's another. So family guilt can traumatize people and be over people and keep people bound and not allow them to feel their God-given talents or missions, which can change the world in a major way. Because when you made it, you did something good, and other people haven't chosen to make the sacrifice. You made it because you chose to, not because you were lucky. They had the same opportunity, but they spent more time strengthening, reinforcing this same mindset that the family shares that has them had them limited for generations. So you made it. That's one M why they try to hold guilt over you. 2, or make you feel guilty. 2, you messed up. Okay. The third one, you moved. You moved. I mean, literally moved. Like you moved to another side of town. You moved out of the family community that y'all know people have. Oh, this is the home house. I know people personally, or close up, nearby, and afar off, okay, that there's a real family, physical community, same neighborhood, everybody lives with either right there in that same neighborhood or within a few blocks of each other, dysfunction, bondage, all types of stuff, but everybody stays right there. They never see the people. Some people may even go off to the military, go off somewhere, and end up right back there, defeated. Okay. And so you moved, and I mean that literally, but also figuratively. You moved. You changed your location financially. You changed your location physically. You moved. You're at a different place, at a better place in life. God has helped you to transition. God has helped you to play those aces that they're still letting play them. Yeah, y'all grew up in the same family. There might have been incest in the family, molestation, deep poverty, okay? Deep poverty that's been ingrained and accepted and defended for years. Y'all had the same abuse, the same whatever, Okay, grew up in the same very racist town, whatever. Y'all all shared the same thing, but you moved, you made the sacrifice, because it is a sacrifice. You invested in yourself, you got close to God, and God showed you how to escape, and so you moved. And when you move, they'll try to hang that over your head and make you feel guilty. So that's the third M that will cause people, my God, in your family to try to put a family guilt on you, which is an ACE, an adverse childhood experience. It's a social trauma that keeps people from living their blessed lives. I didn't say best. I don't use cliches a lot, but you can say best life, but I'm going to say your blessed life. Okay, your blessed life is better than your best life. Okay, because God has plans for you that you couldn't even imagine, even on your best day, even your most lavish, luxurious plans. God says that's nothing to me. All right, but it's so many people have the opportunity, have gifts that can take them across the world, have things that God can release through them that can revolutionize something. But because you move, you're in a different spot right now. You're not in the same mindset. You don't move the way your family moves anymore. You're in a new family now. Because of that, they'll try to make you feel guilty. But guess what? When you move, you're causing other people to move. There are so many people that don't realize that others are tied to their destiny. Your destiny is not just about you. You doing what God called you and created to do is not just about you. That's the basic of it. That's the lowest part of it. Is you actually achieving and being blessed. It's other people connected to you. Okay. Again, one of my favorite quotes. It's in my book. It's my personal quote. The people who usually give you the most hell about succeeding are the ones who need you to succeed the most. A lot of times they need your money. They need your inspiration. They need you to break the mold and show you that it can be done. I think it was, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I'm going to tell you out the story so you get the gist. I got to research it because I use this a lot. I think it's 4 minutes, the 4 minute mile. Okay. People who run track or run, so they said for years, for a long time, nobody could run the mile in 4 minutes, right? They said, but when the first person did it, like within a couple of months, there were more people in it. Like within the first year after that, so many people ran the 4 minute mile. You know why? Because that person was the pioneer. That person showed people, hey, take it out of your mind that it can be done. Your mind determines your life, right? As a man thinks, so is he. So when you see a person run the 4 minute mile, your mind says, oh, it can be done. You never even thought of it. Nobody even had the idea of it before. And I could be wrong because 4 minutes might be too long, but I think it's the 4 minute mile. When the first person, and I think it's lower than that now, but years and years ago, there's like a story around this, that when one person broke the 4 minute mile, after that, like within a month, there were like 2 or 3 others. And then within a year, a lot of people had done it. Why? Because somebody broke that spirit of defeat and said it can be done. Some people had never even imagined it. Like, well, this is my best. But they never even thought of a 4 minute mile until it became a thing, right? That's why it's okay for you to move. And I'm not just, I mean move literally, like move into another neighborhood. But also I'm talking about you move your status in life. Guess what? Somebody has to do it. Going back to that quote, the instructions on how to get outside the box are outside the box. So you're going to have to find a way to get out or connect with somebody to help you get out, right? So moving is fine because when you move, other people are going to move with you. They might not move immediately. It might not even be anybody from that family right now. It might be maybe some nieces and nephews far down the line. It might not be anybody in the family. The Bible talks about how Jesus, his people didn't receive him. His own brothers didn't even believe in him. Okay, until after he came back from the dead. But guess what? The Bible says a prophet is not without honor except in his own home. The Bible talked about several times, about the disciples, how pitiful their families were that they didn't receive, and they weren't going to receive because they were too familiar and thought and focused on the wrong things with the disciples who were walking with the Messiah, but their family like, oh, whatever, you know. You're gonna have to move. Let this be your mindset. I'm giving for every one of these M's that I'm telling you that causes family guilt to be over you. I give you a remedy to a mindset to think about it. Okay. When you move, that's the third M. Why they hold you in family guilt. You moved. You move statuses. You move mindset. You move houses, locations. Okay. The last one. You're minding God and minding your business. My God. You're minding God and minding your business. What does that mean? Now, I told you this is heavy in African American communities, heavy in poor Black communities, and poor communities in general. The whole thing I'm talking about tonight, family guilt, right? But it's everywhere, but I'm saying it's more heavily concentrated here. But here, you're minding God and minding your business. This is where you see it people hold guilt over people's head in other upper class communities because of this last one. Okay. You're minding God and minding your business. It could be a family tradition. Now, I talked about the real negative part of it, mostly in the African American communities, poor black communities. Everybody's used to the struggle. Everybody accepts the struggle. Everybody accepts churches that don't do them any good, jobs that don't do them any good, relationships that don't do them any good. You just live a meager or a struggling substandard life. You accept it. You teach the same thing to your children, consciously and subconsciously, and that's it, right? But also in middle class, upper middle class, wealthy families, there's a pressure sometimes. That pressure, that's another ACES, excess pressure to succeed. Because great granddaddy was a doctor, granddaddy was a great granddaddy was a doctor, granddaddy was a doctor, daddy was a doctor. You're supposed to be a doctor. When that's not what you're minding God and minding your business. That's the fourth M that will cause family guilt to be over you and traumatize you. You're minding God and minding your business. Just because everybody in the family was a doctor. Now, a lot of times God will put that in the bloodline, but not all the time. He'll cause somebody to break away. Okay. This happened in my life. Everybody, now I talked about it on the lower end. Everybody's struggling. Everybody's addicted. Everybody's this, and this. And God will call somebody out to break the mold, to get it started. Not that they're going to be the only one. You'll be the chosen one because right now you're the only one. But then you're going to be able to teach people and show other people, inspire younger people under you and other people around you who want to catch it, that it can be done, right? But when you're minding your business and minding God and minding your business, whatever business he gave you, just because everybody in the family was this, God might be calling you to be something different. Even if it was something good. They're all doctors. They're all lawyers. They're all architects. They're all business owners. God might be calling you to be in education, okay? Or they were all in public education. God might be calling you to do your own private education, right? These 4 M's will cause people, but guess what? Let me tell you how to remedy this last one. When you're minding God and minding your business, they're going to try to hang family guilt over you. But guess what? If they had the ability to bless you, they would have done it by now. When you're where God called you and created you to be, in him and in the world that he's called you to give your gift to the world, that's where your blessings are going to be. I taught economics. It's supply and demand. When you are aware of what you're supposed to supply and you stay in focus to supply it at a good level, you stay that it's the best of the best, that you stay humble. When you create the supply, the demand is going to be there. Whatever gift God gave you to give to the world, somebody's looking for it right now. My God. Whatever gift God gave you to give to the world, it's in demand. You just got to be ready to supply it. Somebody's looking for it right now. But when you're trying to do somebody else's gift, your provision is not guaranteed. Your place in the world is not guaranteed. And guess what? That can lead to other things. That's when I was talking about how this is not just true for people struggling, who have made struggling a way of life and passed it on from generation. There are people in upper class, middle class, wealthy class families who have, it's the legacy that everybody does this. And it may be a good career, makes a lot of money, but God says that's not your path. So you go there and then you suck at it, right? You don't have provision there. God has not provided the time, energy, or money for you to do it because your blessing is not there. So when family tries to hang over your head that you're not doing what everybody else has done in the family, which could be struggling, or you're not a carpenter like everybody else, know this. I can tell you several stories in the Bible, like when Elijah was out in the wilderness at the brook, and while he was at the brook getting the water, the bird would bring him the bread and the flesh, and then it dried up because his assignment was over. Then he had to go to the widow. Okay, that's where his next assignment was. His meal was connected to his assignment. He was there to help the widow, but she was feeding him. Okay, now I got into the Bible there, but nevertheless, I can keep going on and on. I can give you natural examples. There are so many people, famous people, who were trying to do this, and this. It didn't work out for them. And they might be a comedian. They may be, when they finally fell into or was forced into doing what they were called to do. Everything opened up for them. Okay, so I gave you some rebuttals, some solutions, some remedies to all the 4 M's that could cause a person to be caught up in family guilt, feel like you owe your life to somebody, feel like you owe somebody, like Jason did in Jason's lyric, that he had the opportunity, he had job opportunities that was there, he had opportunity to be in love with a good woman who was showing him things, she had a pure heart, and that she wanted to get away with him, but he felt like, I'm obligated to my mother to help her, but also I'm obligated to my brother because he's suffering trauma because of something we did together, which was accidentally shot the stepfather. It's all types of things that the devil wants to keep. The devil is about bondage. He's about chains and shackles and ropes and all kinds of things that tie you down and keep you from flying freely the way God created you to be. He doesn't care how he does that. It could be traumas that y'all shared together. It could be the fact that y'all all grew up and y'all had happy times together, and this person doesn't feel secure without you. But guess what? You're not responsible for that person. That person needs to find peace within their own soul. That person needs to find their assignment in God and not be dependent on you, which is, they talk about that codependency. That a person who needs you to feel safe and secure is hindering them and you. Okay? And so it's okay to make it. It's okay to mess up and then get cleaned up. It's okay to move. It's okay to mind God and mind your business. Those 4 things will cause you to feel like you cannot leave your family. You can, even though they mean you no good, they mean themselves no good. And if your family is ever gonna, even if it's not your, even if your family doesn't want anything, there are whole families that just want to serve the devil, right? Consciously and or subconsciously. So it might not even be your family, but guess what? There are people out in the world who God has called you to reach. But if you keep allowing family guilt to have you stuck and bound, not only are you going to be out of order with God, but you're going to cause other people to miss out as well. And so it's so much tied to your destiny. It's so much tied to your destiny. You got to play that ace of family guilt. Play that ace of people making you feel guilty for making it. People making you feel guilty for messing up and not dwelling on it like they are, so they can keep you bound. When people try to make you feel guilty for moving your status, moving your location, moving your mindset. And if last one, when people try to make you feel guilty for minding God and minding your business, what God gave you, not what they planned for you, not what they're limited to thinking, right? Some people esteem their family higher than they esteem God. Oh my God. Because of traumas, because y'all went through thick and thin together, because y'all developed a bond because y'all went through so much together, or because these people, your family, sometimes your biggest cheerleader, but like I said, when you move in a different direction, they become your biggest critic and enemy. But some people esteem their family higher than they esteem God. Guess what? You're not going to live your blessed life that way. You're not going to make it. You're going to be, especially when y'all, first of all, a person who does that is probably as a result of trauma. That trauma is going to consume your life. You're not going to be able to properly overcome it, because God is the only way to truly properly, when you tap into him and allow him to live on the inside of you and grow up and stand up on the inside of you. That's the only way. But guess what? People have a deep bond because that's who they party with, because that's that emotional tie. They get a high. They get a feeling, right? They made inside the box. You're trying to get outside the box. The instructions to get outside the box are outside the box. But you can't even connect with people outside the box to help you get out, because your family made it comfortable in the box. And guess what? And then people esteem their family higher than they esteem God. Oh, my family wants me to be this. Everybody in my family is this. Y'all know the story of David and Goliath, right? He was the youngest, considered probably the least likely to succeed based on what he was doing while the brothers were out fighting and being valiant soldiers and that kind of thing, right? They had the opportunity to kill Goliath too, but guess who took the sacrifice? Guess who actually stepped up? Guess who had the courage? Because he had a good relationship with God. So guess what? A lot of times your family, not a lot of times, I'm going to say like most times, your family, everybody in your family who's trying to pull you back down, who's trying to make you feel guilty for making it, for moving, for minding God and minding your business, for messing up but getting over it. Those people have had the same opportunities that you have. They just chose to be comfortable in the box, put a hot tub and jacuzzi and some hot wings and buy some nice clothes to look good for each other inside the box. Ooh, make it comfortable in the box. Have parties in the box. But you don't have to go outside the box and go into other and see people living better and doing better. And so David, his brothers had the same opportunity he had to take on Goliath. But when they didn't and he had the courage, oh man, that upset them. That upset them. Because first of all, the opportunity is going now. Because if we try to do it now, it's going to seem like we're copycatting. But guess what? Some of them weren't even going to make it to that point where they copycatting because they still didn't have the courage. He had supernatural courage because he walked with God. You walk with God, you're going to see some supernatural things. You're going to do some things and have the courage to do some things, even if they don't go the way you want them to go, that other people won't have the courage to do. And because of that, they're going to hate you. They're going to hate on you. They're going to hate you, right? And that's why they'll try to hang that family guilt over you to discourage you, because they're not encouraged. Cain and Abel. Cain had the same opportunity to sow a good offering as Abel. He didn't. When Abel did, oh, guess what? That's that poverty mindset, something for nothing. This person did the right thing and you're mad at them for getting a reward. People don't realize what you sacrifice. People don't realize when you actually make it outside the box, what you had to do to get outside the box. And how many people are going to be impacted by the fact that you made it out of the box. They don't see that because they're so traumatized they're so bound by the enemy. Cain had the same opportunity to sow a good seed as Abel and got mad at him for doing the right thing and getting rewarded and killed the boy. Same thing with David and Goliath. His brothers had the same opportunity. They tried to shoot him down when they went, oh, how you going to go fight this man? What you doing? Go back home, right? Because they're discouraged because they didn't take the opportunity to do something great. You're called to do great things and be great things, but the enemy will try to traumatize you by hanging family guilt over you. I want you to realize that if you don't move, it's other people that you're hindering from moving. Because you made the sacrifice to get outside the box, to work, sacrifice, sometimes stay up late, get up early, do things on top of what they want you to do, need you to do. You're doing stuff in secret a lot of times, or that they don't even know about, to help you get outside of this thing. And when you make the sacrifice and then you actually make it, don't let them make you feel guilty. One, because it might discourage you. And then the people who really count on you, who really, listen, another one of my favorite quotes, my personal quote, it says, grow up and show up because somebody's depending on you. Grow up and show up because somebody's depending on you. It might not be your family. Jesus said, don't worry about it. My family don't receive me. He told the disciples, your family not going to receive you. Don't worry about it. But guess what? There were people who wanted to receive, who were waiting on the Messiah, who said, we've been this way our whole life. There's got to be a Savior coming for us. God, we're God's people. There's no way we're going to live this way. There's some people like that, even though your family might say, hey, this is the way we've been, so stop trying to be something else. You're trying to act better than other people. They've found a way to lose. They found a way to accept it. It might not be them, okay? It might be one or two people in your family later on, younger people that saw that you could do it, but it might be none of your family. It might be people that you don't even know, but they're still dependent on you. So grow up and show up. Don't let this family guilt thing hold you down, because you're holding other people down and you're going to miss out on your blessed life. You've sacrificed to have a good life. You've sacrificed. You've done some things that nobody else was willing to do, which is why they're hating, which is why you need to stand up and receive your benefits and your rewards. I'm going to leave with that. Y'all. This was a powerful video. Go back, watch it again, share this. Playing the ACE, overcoming the trauma of family guilt, okay? Peace. I love y'all. I'll see y'all soon.